Hi, hello, welcome to this episode of Fandom Frenzy with Flash. I am Flash, so I am your host. Again, in this week's episode, I'm going to talk about episode 7 of season 6 of Game of Thrones, or, more conveniently known as its true name, The Broken Man. So last week, after the episode, Scott and Schwade and I had a pretty in-depth conversation about how the Hound was about to come back, because we never saw him die. So obviously he was still alive, because that's how Game of Thrones works. And sometimes, even when we do see the characters die, like they don't stay dead, as we've seen multiple times. However, that clip didn't make it into the episode. I'm sure that we can see snippets of it in this box. I don't think that Arya killed the Hound.
We don't see someone die, they're not dead.
Yeah.
That's true in anything.
Anyway, hide your chickens because the Hound is back. So, we called that one. I just really love being right. So, I want to draw attention to that. We spent enough time with the Hound in this episode as, he battles with his inner demons, that I realized that we haven't seen the sand snakes in 5 episodes, which is completely unrelated, but what the f*** is happening in Dorne right now? Regardless, a really important narrative occurs here. So Sandor's faced with the cost of redemption, right? The idea of second chances is really a running theme within the series. People either redeem themselves, like Jorah Mormont, or hopefully Theon eventually, or they squander it completely, like Viserys, right? He could have helped his sister take over the 7 kingdoms, and instead, well, we know what happened to him. He's gold everywhere. He's really fighting to try to move forward with his life and leave behind being a killer. And as we see, whenever literally everybody he knows in this scene gets slaughtered later in the episode, that's just really not in the cards for him. He may have a more complete understanding of what role he's supposed to play, but unfortunately, that doesn't point to putting away his weapons. He's gonna seek out whoever it was that took out that village, and then he's probably gonna wander onto King's Landing, because if you don't think that he's not going to have to face the mountain again, then you're kidding yourself. Cersei's gonna use the mountain as her champion in the trial by combat, and I'm assuming that's where we're gonna see Sandor again. So he'll either die, or Cersei is gonna be in a whole load of unless Marjorie does whatever it is that she's planning to do. Speaking of, did I not say last week that Marjorie is still valuing her family above all else? As soon as she finds out that her grandmother's at risk, she attempts to get her the out of there. She still stands with House Tyrell, and she's gonna bring those sparrows down from the inside or die trying. And honestly, the latter is super likely. Jaime gets literally nowhere with the Blackfish, but the phrase let 8,000 men just kind of wander into their encampment unnoticed. So they've got, that going for them, I guess. Also, I want to point out that the phrase wears silly hats because they have such enormous ears. It's not really talked about in the show. Jon Snow rallies all of the wildlings to his side because that's what he does. He gives understated, motivational, if not rather grim speeches.
You shouldn't have to come to Winterfell with me. I shouldn't be asking you. It's not the deal we made. I need you with me if we're gonna beat them, and we need to beat them if you're gonna survive.
He throws his broodiness on on other people to see if it sticks, and it's been pretty successful so far, I guess. Minus that one time that he got stabbed to death. I guess that's kind of a big drawback. However, the rest of the North, not so willing to stand with the Starks. Except for this one, Lady Lyanna Mormont. That 10-year-old just reduced years of training as a lady on Sansa's part to nothing in a matter of seconds. Sansa and Jon have seen some. They have been through a lot. And Jon was put in charge of the Night's Watch when he was barely a man. And both of them understand hard choices and what it is to make them, but this 10-year-old girl is responsible for an entire ancient noble house, and she is doing a spectacular job, if I do say so myself. Her and all of her 62 men.
As far as I understand, you're a Snow, and Lady Sandra is a Bolton. Who's your Lannister? I've heard conflicting reports. In any case, you don't just want my allegiance, you want my fighting men.
Jorah would be proud, you know, if he wasn't banished and ridden with grayscale. A lot of things happened in this episode without a lot of things actually happening in this episode. So Arya got stabbed right after she admitted that she wanted to go back across the Narrow Sea, and it looked like she's gonna run conveniently into, like, somebody. The episode ended before we could see who saves her. It's probably someone we're really familiar with that's going to just come out of left field. Or not. Scott doesn't agree with me. Let's just take bets on who it is then, okay? Drop us a comment. But anyway, a lot happens in this episode without anything actually happening. Like, last episode set up this episode, and then this episode just sets up more stuff. I think that other than the Hound reveal, the most important thing that happened was probably the scene between Theon and Yara. There's some major peer pressure there, which I advise against, but then she, like, lays down the law. She demands that she either gets her brother back or suggests that he should just kill himself if he doesn't think that he can be Theon again. And after that, really, really harsh reality hits him, that he's useless to her. The one person that truly loves him, unless he can pull himself out of his darkness and his pity for himself. But I mean, you know, the pity's justified. We see for the first time a true glimpse of Theon without the influence of, like, Reek or Ramsay or anything that happened in the North. Like, there is nothing but iron in that look, because Theon is Ironborn and he's never again going to forget that. And I hope it's him that gets to rip out Ramsay Bolton's throat, honestly. So that's pretty much it for this episode. I'm hoping that a lot of these things wrap up in the next episode. Like, we spent another episode without Dany entirely, which is, like, whatever, it's fine. I just need a little more conclusion, a little less exposition, by like this much, tiny, just a little bit. So if you liked this episode, go ahead and hit the thumbs up and share it with all of your favorite Game of Thrones addicts, and drop us a comment if you want to place your bet on who's going to save Arya's. And subscribe to the video, because Shwade and Scott and I are going to be putting out new videos every week. Not always about Game of Thrones. We like other things too. And to check out what those things are, you can click all of the links found below that will take you to our social media. We talk about other stuff there. Bye. But I think that's how they're going to do it. Tyrion's going to tell Dany to sail to the wall. They're going to sail to the wall. She's going to meet up with Jon Snow. They're going to combine their forces. They're going to kill the out of Ramsay Snow. That would also allow Theon to do it, because he would be with Yara and therefore with Dany, because they're on the Ironborn ships. Then they're going to go and maybe, like, politely ask for the throne from Tommen, because Tommen is not evil. But then again, since she's a Targaryen, she has more of a claim to the throne than Baratheons do anyway. Fake Baratheons regardless. But that's how it's gonna end. Pretty sure. Calling it. That would be the most efficient way to do it, especially if they're gonna wrap it up next season. Because if they don't do it that way, then next season's gonna be